Yeah, sure thing. Chief, good to see you.
All right, guys.
Second second signing on the board with Paulo Retre. Can you just tell us how the signing came about?
So I was in discussions with his agent about would have been maybe 2 months ago. He mentioned that he was in India, but there were just some issues with his club, and that he could be potential on the radar. And then as soon as I found out that there was a chance that he was available, I basically showed my intent that I wanted him to come with us straight away, and I let it go for a couple of weeks, and then there was contact, probably 3 or 4 weeks after that, and then there was movement on his side, and it just came about that he could find a way to get out of his club, and he wanted to come with us.
Yeah, and I guess if you think him and Marco, Paulo's won the A-League a couple of times. Marco's, had a lot of individual success in the A-League. Was there something specific about wanting to recruit more experienced players this season?
Oh, I look. It's not like I go into it looking for the experience first as a prerequisite. No, my thing is I know Paulo from Sydney FC. We've always had a very good relationship. More importantly, he's a really good guy, a good person, someone that I think really bodes him well with what we're trying to do here. And irrespective of his age and experience, I just felt as though um, he also is the sort of player I like. He's a very technically gifted player. He always wants the ball. He links through the midfield quite well. And as well, he can play multiple positions. So again, um, it's not, I see some people like comparing it as a replacement for Pennington, but they're completely different players, not a replacement at all, just a different sort of player that can give us a different dimension.
Yeah, okay. And so when is he likely to arrive in Wellington? I take it by the fact we've been talking on Zoom that he's still in Australia at the moment.
Sure. He'll be in Monday. So hopefully he'll
Yeah.
be on the park on Tuesday for a training
So
session.
would you anticipate he'll be available for the Australia Cup?
No, definitely not. I don't want to put that pressure on him. I think he's been doing his own physical work. I'm using the Australia Cup to give the opportunity for the younger boys to show me what they have, especially the boys from the academy and some of the boys that are involved at the Olympics at the moment. Obviously, depending on how they go with the results and so on. But I think it would be unfair for him, who hasn't trained, for a while, to come in and expect game time straight away. I don't want to put him at a risk, and I want him to integrate into the environment very slowly.
Yeah, and just a final one from me. Do you feel like it's easier to recruit the season based off the season you had? Is it an easier sales pitch now that people know what you're about and saw the success that you had in your first season?
I think last year was a different dynamic. Our squad was pretty much, in terms of the foreign spots were already taken. Last year, my recruitment was more centered around filling the underbelly of the squad. So we already had, we had Zavada, we had BK, Bally, Scotty were already, you know, already in the team. So I really didn't have to get, the foreigners from a recruitment point, and we had a lot of the Kiwi boys already, Roofs, Painty. So the squad was pretty much done last year. It was more about giving an opportunity to those younger boys and just working off that platform. So we brought in Mo Alte, who I thought was a good pickup, and Jack obviously to complement AP. But this year's a different dynamic. We actually have vacancies in the squad, so it's more centered around what my thinking is and how I'm going to develop the team. And hopefully, what everyone sees is that I'm very flexible tactically. So I like to bring in players that can play different ways, different styles, and can adapt very quickly. So bringing in Marco, he's a player that can play off the front. He can play in the pocket. He can dribble. He can play as a winger. He can play as a nine. He can play as a 10. He can play or sort of a hybrid position in that front third, and Paulo's no different. He can play as a fullback, an inverted fullback. He can play as a 6 and 8 in our system. He can play with his 10, as a 10 as well. Has the ability to play, off the line. Can play, he can break lines quite well. So, in that respect, it's actually quite exciting bringing these players in because it does give us a different dimension of the way we want to play for next season. Um, and so has it been easier? Potentially, but it's been a different dynamic.
Cool, thanks you.
All right.
Good afternoon. Firstly, I just wanted to ask about just watching some of the young Phoenix boys at the Olympics and just what you made of their opening game.
Yeah, I thought, it's a great result against a good opponent, and they put themselves in a really good spot for the second round. I think they can definitely get something out of America. Like all tournaments, with limited preparation time, it's hard to stylistically get teams the way you want them to play, nice flow, football, and even from a defensive structure, it's very hard to get your whole game model across. So I think you saw that in the game, not only with the Kiwi boys, but with the opposition. It was a little bit messy. At times the game kind of opened up at times, and but I think I was quite impressed. I thought they were in the game for a large part. I was really happy with our boys. Saw Suts attacking, and that's what earned them the penalty as well. Now that AP's gone, but I thought he had a really good game. Looked solid in goals. Finn was really good. Nice to see some of the boys also get game time off the bench. So no, it's good. I think that experience also gives our squad more experience as this next season progresses. I think it's very important for them to play in these big games with pressure and the expectation of not a club, but more the national pride at stake.
Yeah, I like that answer. And just wanted to ask as well, I think you got 17 signings now for next season. How's the rest of the looking for players going along?
It's going slowly, methodically. It has its challenges every day, but I enjoy this process. Some days, at the end of the day, sometimes I want to hit my head against the wall because it can be frustrating. You look to get some certain plays in, and for whatever reason, falls over, or you're trying to find the right balance. But again, the good thing is here with the coaching staff and myself, we spend a lot of time on this. We want to make sure that we get the right mix. So we feel like with Marco and Paulo, even though they're local options, they're still as good as or even better than any foreigners that we could get in. It's just now finding that right foreigner that's going to find, that balance, and I think more importantly, the chemistry side is probably the most important part, is finding players that that are going to fit in with not only the way we play, but with the group, and just seeing how they can express themselves, and that's probably the most challenging part.
And I know you answered the question before about Marco and Paulo as well with regards to the like having the championship. Does that kind of like veteran experience, does that come into play as well by looking at foreign players, or is it literally just down to the whole chemistry thing and how they're going to fit in the team?
Yeah, so that's the balance, right? So it helps that they've won championships, but from a I think from an experience point now, we've had like Painty Roofs, the backbone Suts, the Kiwi boys that are here. They've had that experience from last season. Hopefully, we can build on that experience. So I don't necessarily need to get guys that have won anything outside, but it does help. Like Paulo and Marco's experience when things get tough this season, I'm hoping it's in the semi-finals. They can dig deep and call on their experience to get over the line. And I think our other boys that have been here are going to bode well because they're going to have last season to build on. So, the most important thing I think with the foreigners is are they going to be different, and can they add another level to the way we play? And that's the most important thing. And then hopefully that brings the trophies home.
And how is Tim Payne? Because of course he did his hammy over in the Pacific
Nations
Islands.
Cup.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Nations Cup. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, Payne's great. So he's earned a very, an extensive break. I've given him almost a month off to go and recover. I think more importantly, more for his mind than his body, because if you looked at his schedule over the last a year and a half, I don't think he's had a decent break more than a week. I think it's very, sometimes I think what people forget is that, they're in season, then they go travel overseas to Egypt to go for an international, then they come back the day before, they're expected to play against Melbourne City for 90 minutes, and they come back into training, and then they go to the next international break. And then by the time 18 months is gone, and they don't get the respite they deserve, and mentally they're exhausted. So for me, I'd say great. It's a great opportunity for him now, as unfortunate as it is that he had the injury, that he can spend a month on his own and really recharge your batteries and come back. And then, you know, I think it's also important from a body point that he deloads as well, and he comes back in refreshed, and then looking, to get ready for this World Cup cycle, which is very, very important to him. I think, obviously he's the best right back for me in New Zealand, and I want him to display those attributes at the World Cup. And he's going to have a long stretch now to get there, but I think he needs to be injury free, and he needs to have good headspace. That's with all my players as well, not only him.
Thank you very much.
No problem.
Chief, could I just ask one more? In terms of the imports, have you honed in on where you want to use those now?
Yes, more than likely, as it stands, I'll probably use an import spot for the goalkeeper. I'm pretty well, I'm 95% on that, 95%, or maybe closer to 99 to be fair. I'm looking to potentially bring in another player that can play in the front line, potentially two, but they can also be between my midfield and attacking line. Or sorry, one player, and then maybe potentially a defender. I'm not sure yet. I'm still trying to find the right balance at the moment. It really depends on also some other local targets that we have. So I'm just trying to find the right sort of balance.
Yeah, okay. So now that you've got this signing done, when do you hope how close are you to more?
Well, it's a good question. I'd probably say in the next 2 weeks, we'll probably get at least one, maybe even two.